Hi there, this is Sonic and Silver, but you may also know me as TP Cool. Today, I'll be unraveling the mystery that surrounds the supposed fourth ending to Cave Story, as brought up by YouTube user HaydenStudios. Much controversy has surrounded his original video, especially since it was notoriously uploaded on April Fool's Day. The fourth ending to Cave Story is supposed to be even better than the best ending, where you fight Balos and save the island. In this ending, you're supposed to be able to not only save everybody from the best ending, but also those who died in every other ending, such as Toroko and King. When so much disbelief surrounded HaydenStudios' video, he decided to upload another one, this time on the 11th of January. However, much to my dismay, many still don't believe that this ending exists. So I'm getting to the bottom of this. I'll be downloading a fresh copy of Dokutsu from the Cave Story Tribute site, validating said copy, and playing through the game until I've reached the block that you're supposed to shoot, which verifies that you've met the requirements. Let's begin. So what I'm doing now is going to the Cave Story Tribute site, www.cavestory.org, and downloading an unaltered copy of Cave Story. What I didn't download was the English translation patch for the game, but more on that later. Right now I'm extracting all the contents with WinRAR and putting them on my desktop. First, to completely verify this copy, let's look at the file size. Every copy of Dokutsu should have this exact file size on it. And, looking at this folder, you can see that the last time that any of these files were modified was in either 2004 or 2005. And in case you're curious, which you probably are, manual and data both appear to have been modified on the 6th of March, which is the day I recorded this. That appears whenever you download Dokutsu. It appears as the time that you've downloaded it. I have no control over that. Try it yourself. And, if you don't mind, I'll be changing the screen size to 640 by 480. My laptop apparently is not formatted to work with full screen. I'm not quite sure why, but it doesn't matter. Let's begin. So back to why I decided not to download the English translation patch. Not only would applying the patch take too long, but I would have just been digging myself into an even deeper hole. I'm sure something as elusive and mysterious as another ending to Cave Story would make most people skeptical already. I did actually end up grabbing the first life capsule in this area, as the 17-minute timer does not actually start until you reach Balrog and answer no to him. That also gives me a really good excuse just to take my time and even rack up some XP before I reach the egg corridor. It's not like I'm begging for it when I reach that point, but it gives me a nice head start, something I'll gladly accept. Speaking of egg corridor, I have something cool to show you in the beginning of that area. I'll talk more about it when I reach it. This cool thing I did doesn't have to do with the fourth ending at all, but I did it on accident and it sort of speed things up, if only a little. For now, it's just normal Cave Story. Not so much to talk about, to be perfectly honest. I'd like to say that this is because of the abundant cutscenes in the beginning of the game. Not much I can do to make that any more interesting. So there are some spikes, there are some bats, there are some critters, nothing dangerous at all. Just a quick and simple run through the first cave. That's about it, really. Now it's just up the cave. These enemies only drop one Dorito at a time, but the Polar Star doesn't need to be too satisfied to level up, so it all balances out in the end. At the end of the first cave, I just barely reached level 2, which is good enough for me. I probably would have ended up farming for the extra experience by going to the start point and letting the enemies respawn. I'm glad I didn't have to do that. That would have been boring. Now here's an interesting thought. Why does Quote fall next to King and Toroko? Did some unseeable force push Quote off the ledge? Maybe it was the hermit gunsmith. He's probably mad at us for taking his precious gun. Well, wait a minute. How did he see us if he was sleeping? Was he just pretending to sleep? I wonder if these things will ever be explained. So, now we've made it to the reservoir, where we meet our good buddy Chinfish. Something that many people like to do is to kill Chinfish, and even I admit doing that during some of my playthroughs of this game. But why would you want to do that? Chinfish is amazing. You can't play with him right now though, we've got our own agenda. Before we get to do more plot-related things, we must first do some plot-related things. It's boring, yeah, I know, but what do you want me to do about it? I could just murder Misery by the time we get to the shack, but do you really want me to take her on with this stinky little pea shooter? If I had to do that, I'd probably get my ears in a tangle. Next up on my agenda is to go to the Yamashita farm. This isn't required at all, as far as I'm aware, but I'm just picking up one last easy life capsule before the real timer starts. It really doesn't hurt to go in with a little extra health, and as a matter of fact, it helped me immensely during this run. I wasn't at my prime when playing through this game this time around, and it really shows. Like I said, this is the last one that I'm picking up. I don't believe that there are any more life capsules that would have taken only a few seconds to pick up, so I've only picked up what's easy to get. I can't stress enough how fast you have to be to really pull this off. So now we are heading off towards the shack to confront Toroko, Balrog, and Misery. As you can see here, I did not actually get hurt by Toroko when she sprang up. That's something that happens to me almost every other time I play through this game now. Even in my failed recording of this, I accidentally got hurt by her. It was actually really embarrassing. Now, this is the first time you're supposed to answer no to the questions you get asked. Saying no to Balrog actually makes sense, and I believe HaydenStudios brought this up in his second video, because fighting off Balrog would waste too much time. I'm talking story-wise, of course. This timer doesn't actually count during the cutscenes. So, realistically, you'd want to get to the sand zone as fast as possible, and fighting off Balrog would consume too much of that time. So major props to Pixel for thinking that one up. Now that we're finished with that bit of plot, let's go find out how Jack is doing. I'm sure he's doing fine, but he'll probably want a break after guarding that cemetery for so long. So let's take his shift over for a while so we can rest with King. While we're here, we might as well take out some of these pesky mushrooms and destroy this suspicious murderer for the Mimiga. They can thank us later. You know what? Killing all these innocent mushrooms is fun and all, but I think I'd have more fun robbing this important-looking guy's grave. Let's see what secrets he has buried with him. Just a key, really? Oh well, it'll have to do. I'm sure I can use this thing somewhere. So much for finding buried treasure. You know, I did see a locked house near the end of the village. I think I'll try using this key there. Oh, look at that, it works. I should steal from people more often. Oh, how convenient, a teleporter. I can make it to the egg corridor for sure now. So, what is there to say about the egg corridor? Before I get into any details, take a look at this awesome trick I did by complete accident. But first, just a little stretch of land populated by behemoths. Behemoths? Did I pronounce that correctly? Oh, and beetles. Or beetles? I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly either. If you've watched the Cave Story tool-assisted speedrun, then you might know what I'm talking about. Here it is. Now let's watch Igor and Sue disappear into cutscene limbo. And in case you're not quite sure what happened, I took damage from that beetle, or beetle I guess, landed on top of it, and wrote it past where the cutscene normally takes place. Like I said, this happened totally by accident, and I feel really accomplished to have done that. Just something that makes this run a little more special. That shaves some more time off a normal run, but not enough to make a total difference. Still cool though. Okay, back to talking about the area that we are traversing through right now. Fourth ending wise, there is only one bit of importance in this area, and that is to answer no to Sue in the Egg 00 room. Supposedly this works the same way that answering no to Balrog does. That is, it's shorter, so it saves you some more time. Now, with Balrog I can understand, that's an entire battle, but answering no to Sue? Really? Come on, Pixel, you're stretching it now. Besides that, nothing you have to remember to do here, other than to speed it up. Egg Corridor is a wonderful area in that regard, as it's very easy to master. Speedrunning this should be no problem at all, assuming you've beaten Cave Story at least twice before. Overall, I really like everything there is to the Egg Corridor. The song that you're hearing right now is one of my favorites in the game, and it is certainly one of the more upbeat in the soundtrack. It really does fit perfectly. I'm not crazy about the graphics in this stage, but it gets the job done. Now we've reached Igor, our first boss battle, and a fine boss battle it is. It can really drag on sometimes, especially if you don't have quite a good trigger finger. Some people tell me that I'm good when it comes to that, and looking at this battle, I suppose I'm not half bad at it. And I'll beat him by the door, cause why not save some time? Then we have plot. Ah yes, I love me some plot. So we answer no to Sue to save a literal second of time. Too bad I can't comprehend this plot. It's not in a language that I, or anybody for that matter, can read. Maybe the computer can. Probably. And then we're off to the Egg Corridor once more. Hooray for backtracking! Actually, of all the backtracking in this game, I have the most fun going reverse in the Egg Corridor. It's a blast. I'd say that the level design and enemy placement is just right, in that you can speed through it if you know what you're doing. I love it. So, concerning the Egg Corridor, there isn't really much to say. If you've never played Cave Story before, you might be wondering what that white thing is down there. That is called a basil. It is indestructible and kills you in one hit. Yeah, now you know why I don't like going down there too often. One of the things you might notice about me playing through this stage is that I tend to get hit a lot. This is partially due to my broken Cave Story speedrunning skills. I'd also blame it on my keyboard. You see, if I'm holding up while holding the jump button, I cannot fire my weapon. It just won't let me. The same holds true for holding down when jumping as well. The second I let go of the jump button though, I'm safe to fire. That's really a pain and I'm not sure why that happens at all. Ah, look at that. It looks like a teleporter, does it not? There aren't any noticeable changes with the story, signaling that you've met the requirements, as far as I'm aware. So you'll just have to keep playing until you've managed to reach the sand zone. Tough luck. I suppose at this point I should tell you something kind of important. I did die multiple times in Bushlands, aka Grass Town. Reason is simple, I was rushing. I wanted to speed through that area as quickly as possible, and I did end up failing miserably at it. Don't worry though, I'll put up an annotation just in case you feel like skipping the segments where I die. If you still want proof that I'm playing the same game though, you can, of course, watch that anyways. I'll leave those death segments up unaltered. Just for you. That one section where you get the jellyfish juice is teeming with enemies. Fair warning though, I won't be commentating throughout those deaths, so you won't be able to listen to my beautiful voice. I mean, it might not be as interesting to watch those segments, since it's just me failing at Cave Story. Right now I'm just climbing Mamaga Village, so I can talk to Sue, thus opening up Bushlands, aka Grass Town. This is the very last area before the sand zone, so you better make it count. If you don't want to make it count though, that's fine too. The third ending is cool. Just not as cool as the fourth ending. One of the things that really just recently started bothering me is that you have to grant the teleporter access to the egg corridor, but you don't have to do that for Bushlands, aka Grasstown. What gives? I don't need to talk to the computer, I just need to talk to Sue, that's it. How does talking to Sue magically grant you access? Maybe somebody can come up with a theory for this. I know I can't. Oh, so now we've made it. Like I mentioned before, this is the area that gave me the absolute most trouble in this run. I died a number of times while I was trying to gather up all of the materials to build the bomb, and I was avoiding the save points that would be time consuming to reach, because, like I said plenty of times before, I wanted to make sure that I made it in time. I didn't want to risk it. Of course, dying does not intrude on your ability to achieve the fourth ending, so it comes highly recommended for me to save wherever possible. I also have something else to recommend, but that's for later. You'll just have to wait. And if you're wondering why I call the third ending the best ending, it's because that's what it's commonly referred to as sometimes. If and when you do end up triggering the fourth ending, there are many nice little touches that set it apart from the other three endings in the game. For example, you don't have to verse the core when you normally have to, because Professor Booster fixes the teleporter in the Labyrinth for you. The nice guy that Booster is. Well, that might not be a little touch, but I assure you that there are many touches, big and little. The big touches are just more noticeable, that's all. Something that I believe HaydenStudios was discussing in the comments of his videos was the possibility that there are specific health and weapon requirements for the fourth ending. I won't totally dismiss this idea, since people still can't shoot the block in the sand zone, but it could be anything at this point. My guess is that people are still either assuming it's bogus, or trolling his two videos to discourage people from trying it out. Either way, this ending is still generally believed to not exist, even though clear footage depicting this ending has been posted before this video. So now it looks about that time that I died and died and died. If you wish to skip the segments where I die, feel free to use the annotation located on this video. If not, don't feel forced to. I have the 100% unedited playthrough still intact. Just keep watching, it's all here. So yeah, the run of this stage was pretty sloppy, I won't lie. Sadly, it doesn't get much better from here. I still do die once more later in the stage. That is, once I reach Kazuma and Professor Booster. But that won't happen for a little while, so stick around. Let's talk about Bushlands, aka Grasstown. First of all, you may be wondering why I keep saying Bushlands, aka Grasstown. Well, plenty of people have been introduced to this area with the Nicalis translation, and plenty of other people with the unofficial English translation patch. I just don't want to confuse anybody, is all. I hope you understand. Fourth ending-wise, there isn't anything much to talk about here. It's exactly the same as the Egg Corridor, we just have to answer no to an NPC, and do it as fast as possible. As for the music in this area, it's alright. Certainly not my favorite, but it's good. This is probably one of the only songs in the game where I prefer the Wiiware version over the PC version. That doesn't happen too often. The Wiiware soundtrack is hit or miss for the most part. The graphics are really a step up, I think. I do feel like I'm in a grassy, almost jungle-like environment. I couldn't really say where I was in the Egg Corridor, to be honest. It doesn't really give me a great visual description. The Cave Story 3D version of the Egg Corridor, on the other hand, looks beautiful, much more descriptive. But I digress. Let's talk about this area. Ah, yes, this area. This is my second least favorite area in the game, my least favorite being the Sand Zone. My main concern stems from the same problem, backtracking. Oh, the boring backtracking. It gets worse every time you play the game. The puppy hunt is really, really boring. Bushlands, aka Grasstown for example, has the annoying problem of the jellyfish juice. You can save yourself some time by performing a glitch which allows you to pass over Chaco's house, but I didn't do it. I'm already pushing it, trying to prove that there's a fourth ending and all, so performing an obscure glitch isn't really going to help my case. Accidentally performing that glitch in the beginning of the Egg Corridor was bad enough, really. So now we have Malco, and we also have more plot that I can't read. Yay! Thankfully, saying no is easy, and I couldn't possibly mess that up. Now all that needs to be done is collecting the charcoal, jellyfish juice, and gum based in that order. You don't have to do it in that order, of course, and please don't feel like you have to either. I just find it easier to collect the charcoal early so I don't forget to do it later. You probably noticed me getting the charcoal early, and I really do think you should do that as well if you're attempting this. Oh, remember when I said I was going to recommend something? Getting the charcoal first wasn't what I meant. It's this. On HaydenStudios' second video, he leaves up a link to get the fourth ending without the extra requirements, such as the infamous 17-minute trek through the first half of the game. Once again, I won't force you to download this, it just makes doing this significantly easier. But, if you're some kind of cave story masochist, like me, you might want to consider doing this the normal way. Whatever makes you happy. At this point, there isn't really much left I can say. I have about milked this conversation dry. Sure, I could talk about Balrog, and how absurd he is, but I'm sure that's been talked about to death already. While I'm on the subject of bosses though, I might as well say that I enjoy the Eyes of Flame track. It might be one of my favorite songs. Maybe. The Cave Story 3D version of that song is incredible, I really do love it. And I hope you can understand, but the soundtrack was really the only redeeming part to Cave Story 3D. The soundtrack was great, it really does rival the PC version. I know there is some debate to that, and that's fine, we all have our opinions. Do the enemies of Cave Story ever particularly scare you in some way? I know that the first time I killed a Manan, which is the tombstone looking enemy, I was a little freaked out. It has the weirdest looking face, and, well, I really don't know how to describe it. I'm sure you've seen it by now. Also, I guess I'll let Balos be the runner-up in this category. His fourth form, to be specific. He's like, all bloody, and he just looks threatening. Those critters, though, oh boy, let me tell ya. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have reached Malco, and he is ready to assemble the bomb for us. How nice of him. I'll have to drop by here again later for some tea with him. As for now, let's blow up that door and save some major characters. I do a pretty poor job of navigating this stretch of land here. Did I tell you I'm awful at using the quick switch for weapons? Did you notice I use the quick switch a lot on this run? I prefer not to use the inventory with the Q key because I think it takes too much time. Ah, and now for the second last bit of plot before the fourth ending really starts. Now I just gotta save, restore my health, and click the annotation so you can skip my death. Ah! Don't feel obligated to, though. I just don't want you to be bored, because I do die once more. Okay friends, this is the home stretch. Are you ready? I sure hope you are. I feel like I must warn you that when I prove that the fourth ending exists, I only destroy the breakable block and then I pretty much stop playing from there. Other than me gloating for a few seconds because I was happy I got it to work. Really now though, the breakable block is about the only proof I need since that's exclusive to the fourth ending and no other ending at all. But I'm getting ahead of myself now. Let's keep on shredding through the grass and have fun while doing so. Now, you may notice how poorly I was doing near the end. Literally, I was only one hit away from dying. I had only 1 HP left before the end of this run. I was really fortunate to make it through here without dying. So we have more boring stuff that we can't read, yada yada yada. Will you get on with it? Jeez, I want to see my friends. So we gotta talk to you, actually activate the sand zone, and then shove off. And what a glorious shoving off it actually is. All of my hard work is paid off. This is me looking at Curly. And now I'm shooting the brick. It works, yay! So I enter through the top and then start wildly celebrating like a madman. Good fun it was. Good fun it was indeed. Thank you for giving me your time. I certainly hope it was worth it. This is truly indefinite proof that the fourth ending to Cave Story is definitely real. Something as wonderful as the fourth ending should certainly not be missed by any fan of Cave Story. So I wish you the best of luck to your future endeavors and to anybody who attempts this. Have lots of fun, and goodbye!